Welcome to Whispers and Confessions. There might be a twist waiting, so please make sure to watch until the end. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Let's begin right away.
My name is Victor, and I'm a 38-year-old professional with what some might call a special way with people. That phrase might sound unusual at first, but it holds a special meaning in my life, one that centers around two sisters I encountered who struggled with physical intimacy. Meeting them transformed my life in ways I never expected. Could I really help them overcome their challenges? Was there something truly special about my approach? Let me share my story with you. Right after graduating, at my first corporate job, I began dating an older woman I met through mutual friends. I was completely inexperienced back then, while she was 10 years my senior and quite sophisticated. During our time together, she taught me a great deal about relationships, intimacy, and understanding women's emotional needs. However, once she felt I had learned enough, she ended things abruptly. "I have a thing for mentoring inexperienced men," she admitted. "Now that you've grown, it's time for me to move on. I've lost that spark of interest." It turned out she had a habit of dating younger, less experienced guys. Since I had developed genuine feelings for her, the breakup hit me hard, and recovery took time. But her clean break, leaving to find another protege, forced me to accept reality and move forward. After healing, I started dating again. My subsequent partners all appreciated the emotional intelligence and sensitivity I had developed. Yet I discovered that relationship skills alone don't guarantee happiness or prevent conflicts. When emotions run high, even the best communication techniques can fall short. After several cycles of relationships and breakups, I found myself single again at 38, feeling emotionally drained. The pattern of relationships ending in separation had left me without the energy for dating, and I was just going through the motions of work and home life. As I entered my late 30s, both my physical energy and romantic optimism had declined. I settled into a mundane routine. One particularly hectic Friday, I knew from the morning that overtime was inevitable. I worked straight through the day, barely making it to catch the last train. Finding an empty seat in the quiet, nearly empty car, I dozed off while scrolling through my phone. "Excuse me." A gentle tap on my shoulder startled me awake. I looked up to find two striking women standing there. Still groggy, I was taken aback by their natural beauty. "This is the end of the line," one said with urgency.
What?
Finally alert, I jumped up and followed them off the train. My heart sank when I saw the station name. I had completely missed my stop. This was serious. Stuck at the terminal station after the last train. A taxi would cost a fortune from here. As I stood there panicking, momentarily forgetting about my companions, they asked with genuine concern, "Are you okay?" "Oh, yeah." I responded automatically, though I clearly wasn't. My distress must have been written all over my face. They inquired about my destination and situation, showing sincere worry for my predicament. Feeling awkward about causing them concern, I forced a smile and said, "I'll probably just find a hotel nearby. Thanks for your help." They exchanged meaningful glances and had a brief, whispered conversation before making an unexpected offer. "Would you like to stay at our place tonight?" I hesitated internally, thinking, they're inviting a complete stranger to stay over? It's incredibly kind, but wouldn't that be imposing? "The nearest hotel is quite far from here, and we live close by. Don't worry, you're perfectly safe with us." The taller woman reassured me with a warm smile that lit up her entire face. "Absolutely," the shorter one chimed in playfully. "Besides, we're probably not what you're expecting anyway." They greeted me with warm, genuine smiles. Both sisters radiated a natural beauty and gentle presence. I was puzzled by their comment about not being what I expected, but since we just met, I didn't want to pry. After a moment's consideration, I asked carefully, "Are you sure I won't be imposing?" Given my predicament, no way home, no hotels nearby, and sleeping outside definitely not being an option. I needed to be certain. Not at all, really, they responded in cheerful unison, their smiles reassuring. I nodded appreciatively and expressed my heartfelt gratitude. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. That's how my unexpected encounter with these two remarkable women began. During our stop at a convenience store, I learned they were sisters living together. You could tell they were really close by their interactions. Nicole, the taller one, was 42, while her sister Emily was 40. They hadn't always shared a home. The arrangement began a few years back when Emily went through some emotional challenges. Concerned for her sister's well-being, Nicole had suggested they live together. Though I sensed there was more to Emily's story, I didn't feel it was my place to ask during our walk, but they mentioned she was doing much better now. When we arrived at their place, I was struck by how the elegant, well-kept interior seemed to match their elegant style. They graciously offered to prepare some snacks and showed me to the bathroom first. Their thoughtfulness touched me deeply, and I made a mental note to find a way to repay their kindness someday. After we'd all freshened up, we celebrated our chance meeting with wine from the store. The appetizers they prepared were absolutely delicious, some of the best I'd had in ages. Their warmth, hospitality, and culinary skills created such a comfortable atmosphere that I felt completely at ease. We chatted for hours in this cozy setting. Though I can't recall the specific topics we covered, it didn't matter. The pleasant atmosphere and sense of connection were what made the evening memorable. Maybe it was the wine, or perhaps the comfortable mood, but none of us felt tired as the conversation flowed. Eventually, the topic shifted to dating, and that's when the atmosphere subtly changed. Nicole mentioned wanting to date, and Emily nodded in agreement. With your looks, you must get a lot of attention from guys? I asked candidly, feeling at ease with them by now. They shared a light laugh. We used to, they admitted simultaneously. That's what I figured, I replied with a smile. But it never works out, Emily added with a hint of resignation. We can't maintain relationships. Her words carried the weight of someone who had given up hope. What do you mean? I asked, genuinely confused. Well, Emily's sad smile spoke volumes, and Nicole took over the explanation. We have no physical sensitivity. We're telling you this because you seem trustworthy, Victor, but neither of us can feel physical pleasure. So even though we attract people easily, it ultimately means nothing. Everything goes perfectly until intimacy becomes involved. Then it all falls apart because we can't respond the way partners expect. You can imagine what happens. Some men's egos get bruised, assuming it's their fault. Others blame us, saying we're defective. Many just lose interest, calling us frigid. Most relationships end after the first intimate encounter, and even if they don't end immediately, there's always this awkwardness that leads to drifting apart. What we thought was love turned out to be just physical attraction. After multiple experiences like this, the betrayals, the harsh words, we've developed a deep self-loathing. That's what triggered Emily's emotional struggles. At this point, we've more or less accepted defeat, or rather, we've come to terms with the fact that our bodies are different. We're lost. We don't even know what pleasure feels like. Nicole concluded with a smile that barely masked her pain. Nicole let out a self-deprecating laugh, though her eyes held a mix of sadness and resilience. Life's been tough. Without Emily by my side, without knowing someone else understood these struggles, I'd probably still be in that dark place. That's why I'm incredibly grateful for her. I've learned to accept my body a bit more, even though I still struggle with it. Dating was especially hard. Whenever I tried to fake enjoyment, it was so obvious that guys would get angry. Dating felt completely out of reach, she confided with a bittersweet smile. Maybe I could help if you're willing to try, I said softly but confidently, moved by their vulnerability. Their synchronized looks of surprise made me hesitate momentarily, but something inside urged me forward. Maybe this was my chance to repay their kindness? I met their gaze with gentle determination. If you trust me, I promise to be respectful. We can stop anytime you feel uncomfortable. Would you consider giving me one chance? I asked earnestly. The sisters exchanged uncertain glances before Emily spoke up apologetically. We've heard, I can help before, but it never worked out. The problem lies with us, not them. I understood her skepticism. Plenty of overconfident guys probably made similar claims without having any real understanding or skill. I might seem just like them, all talk, no substance. But actions speak louder than words, and as I was contemplating this, Nicole surprised me with her response. "Let me try first," she said, stepping forward with quiet determination. "Are you certain?" I asked. I've never experienced real pleasure before. No one's ever succeeded. But Victor, even though we just met, something feels different. I want to take this chance. I'll go first, before my sister. If it doesn't work, she won't have to try. But if it does, we could both find happiness. I'm not doing this blindly. There's something genuinely caring in your eyes that makes me want to trust you, she explained with a shy but hopeful smile. Her courage and vulnerability touched my heart. Emily's expression brightened, seeing her sister's resolve. You're right, the past doesn't define our future. Just because something hasn't worked before doesn't mean it won't work now. Please help Nicole and me too. Her beauty radiated with newfound confidence, and I felt the weight of their trust on my shoulders. All right, I nodded solemnly, gently taking their hands. I began with the lightest of touches, soft caresses of their shoulders, gentle strokes through their hair. I knew from experience that intimacy requires a gradual opening of the heart. Helping them relax with gentle caresses, I watched as they slowly relaxed into the moment. Their responses became more natural as I gradually increased the intensity. When the mood felt right, I moved to more intimate gestures and kisses. Their claimed lack of sensitivity seemed more psychological than physical. Perhaps past painful experiences had created trauma, causing them to tense up from anticipated discomfort, which prevented them from feeling pleasure. This tension might have become a self-fulfilling cycle, with fear of not responding correctly making everything worse. Watching their reactions, I believed helping them release this tension would allow their natural responses to emerge. As I continued with gentle, attentive touches, their responses grew increasingly positive. Within about 10 minutes, even with relatively light stimulation, their breathing became heavy with arousal. They reached climax one after another, their cries of pleasure filling the room. When they came back to awareness, their expressions were a mix of shock and joy. What just happened?" they gasped, breaking into elated smiles. "I can't believe it. I'm so happy," they said with emotion. "That's just the beginning," I assured them, continuing my gentle ministrations. Once past that initial barrier, everything became easier. They both reached heights of pleasure readily and desired more. I made love to Nicole first, her energy still high. The sight of her trembling with joy, reaching new peaks of pleasure, was breathtaking. Her sounds of ecstasy were like music to my ears. After sharing that joyful release, I turned to Emily, who also reached beautiful heights of pleasure. Afterward, Emily was so thoroughly satisfied she could barely move, murmuring, "I can't take any more." Nicole, however, still craved more, and we made love once again as the first rays of dawn began to paint the room, our passionate sounds greeting the new day. Dawn was breaking by the time we finally settled down. Exhausted but content, we drifted off to sleep right where we were. We didn't stir until around noon, when we gathered in the kitchen for coffee, sharing shy smiles over our mugs. "I can't thank you enough," Emily said softly, her eyes bright. "All this time, I thought pleasure was beyond my reach, but now I understand. I finally know what it means to feel. Her genuine happiness filled me with relief and hope for her future. You've changed everything for me, Victor, Nicole added, her smile radiating warmth. It's like I'm living in a whole new world now. Their contentment was contagious, warming my heart. After sharing a light lunch together, I decided it was time to head home. We exchanged numbers before I left, amazed at how a missed train had led to such a meaningful connection. Back home, I found a message waiting from Nicole. Would you like to meet again sometime? Only if you want to. Something about her message brought a smile to my face. Maybe it was her sweet nature, or maybe our natural chemistry. I wasn't sure yet, but I didn't hesitate to reply. We started texting daily after that. Emily and I didn't keep in touch, which felt natural for both of us. Nicole and I began dating casually, spending time just the two of us. Watching her grow more comfortable and confident in herself made my feelings deepen. Before I knew it, I had fallen head over heels for her. Before meeting them, I'd always kept relationships at arm's length, using work as an excuse and assuming nothing would last. But real love changed everything. Suddenly, all those excuses seemed meaningless. When the heart takes over, everything else falls into place. Every text message and weekend date brought pure joy. During one of our dates, I finally told her how I felt. Nicole's face lit up with the most beautiful smile. "What am I going to do with all this happiness?" she exclaimed happily. "I'll admit, your caring touch is what drew me in at first," she confessed. "But then you showed me so much more, taking me on thoughtful dates, treating me like I was precious. I fell in love with your warmth. As I got to know you better, I discovered new things to love about you every day. Now I can barely wait to see you again. I've never been happier." Overjoyed that our feelings matched, we shared an intimate moment that day, marking the official start of our relationship. Later, I learned that Emily had also found love around the same time. A persistent coworker had been expressing interest in her for a while. Though she'd had feelings for him too, her past issues had made her push him away, convinced he'd ultimately reject her. But our experience had given her newfound confidence. After a night out, she stayed with him at a hotel. Though it took patience, her body remembered what it had learned, and she was able to experience pleasure again. This breakthrough gave her the courage to finally accept his feelings. When Nicole shared this news with me, I felt genuinely happy for her sister. As our relationship grew stronger, thoughts of marriage began to surface. Everything about her captivated me: her smile, her spontaneous expressions, her way of speaking, her mannerisms, her entire being. I knew I wanted to spend my life with her. No other relationship could compare. When I presented her with the ring and proposed, her face showed the most beautiful mixture of surprise and joy. "Until now, this felt almost too good to be true," she said, tears welling up. "I used to hate my body, endured so much pain, faced betrayal, and heard cruel words that cut deep. I'd given up on marriage completely. But meeting you changed everything, Victor. Experiencing pleasure for the first time, looking forward to our dates, feeling cherished in everyday moments, sharing daily messages. All these firsts have meant the world to me. Thank you for everything. I want to spend my life with you." Her heartfelt words moved me deeply, and as she accepted my proposal, we began planning our future together. During our wedding preparations, I had the chance to see Emily again after quite some time. The transformation in her demeanor was remarkable. "It fills my heart with joy to see Nicole so genuinely happy," she shared, her eyes sparkling. "Knowing all the challenges she's overcome makes this happiness even more special. I found my own happiness too, and it's all thanks to that fateful meeting with Victor at the cafe. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness together," Emily expressed, her warm smile reflecting her sincere words. The wedding preparations flew by as we met with our families and sorted out all the details. When the big day arrived, we were surrounded by love as we exchanged our vows in front of everyone who mattered to us. Fast forward 8 years, and our love hasn't dimmed one bit. If anything, it's grown stronger. Nicole is truly the most amazing wife I could have ever hoped for. Looking at our relationship now, it's almost hard to believe there was ever a time when physical intimacy was such a source of anxiety for her. Emily's story had its own happy ending too. She tied the knot with her colleague about a year after our wedding. Every time we get together, she seems to be glowing with even more happiness than before. It's wild to think how different all our lives might have been if we hadn't crossed paths at that cafe that day. I'd probably still be using my career as a shield against relationships, and Nicole might still be convinced that meaningful connection was out of reach because of her sensitivity issues. While we might have found different paths in life, whenever Nicole says, "I'm so incredibly happy I found you, Victor," it warms my heart. The feeling couldn't be more mutual. Our connection is something I treasure every single day.